So this morning, I am speaking on the profound importance and value of Sangha, of spiritual community. The Vietnamese Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, would often say, you need a Sangha. You need a brother or a sister or a friend to remind you of what you already know. The Dharma is in you, but it needs to be watered in order to manifest and become a reality. Yes, the word Sangha means spiritual community. It's a community of friends that support one another in living in harmony, in living in awareness. And they help us practice the Dharma together. And the word Dharma, another Sanskrit word, means the body of teachings and practices that help us awaken and live most awake, live in awareness. There are the practices and the teachings that help us grow love and understanding and harmony. And this is the reason for UCOA, for Unity Community of Ashland. It is so that we can come together as Sangha and so that we can practice the Dharma together. And the Dharma we practice here is fairly expansive because we're an interfaith community. I'm an interfaith minister. But there's another affirmation from Thich Nhat Hanh about the Sangha I love. I want to put this in our prayer collection. Supported by the Sangha body, my practice flows easier, allowing me to swiftly realize my great determination to love and understand all beings. Many of you have expressed to me your gratitude for this place, and I feel it too. I feel a tremendous gratitude for you and for all of us together and what we co-create together here every Sunday and what I just felt and what we all felt together. It is indeed very precious. It is very precious to find a community that is true Sangha, that is true Sangha. It's a gift of great value in our world today. I remember my very first experience of Sangha was, I talk about it often, but it was when I found Michael Singer. He taught philosophy at Community College in Gainesville, Florida, where I went to school, and that's how I met him. And I was 15. I started college early, and he had a construction company called Built with Love. Oh, perfect. And he had built this beautiful place out in the woods outside of Gainesville with all these windows and wood and glass. And you walk in and there's just pictures of saints lining every inch of the wall. There's a life-size statue of the Divine Mother. And there's an altar. Yogananda is Michael Singer's teacher. So there's a big picture of Yogananda and a candle that's always burning. But it was his teaching that touched me the most, because that very first Sunday he told me that God was within me. And I had been trying a number of different Christian denominations, and I was hearing a little too much about sin and that original sin idea. And then when I walked in and I heard God is within me, and that I am divine, and that I can cultivate this divine nature, I can cultivate this divine love. Wow, I was on fire leaving that day. And right after that, I turned 16. I got my car and I went out there and and I listened to his talks. He gave Dharma talks 3 times a week. I think he still does. So that became the place that I went, and I went there for so many years, and I have to say it was so formative. It was so formative. Who I am now in this moment has everything. I feel so much love for Mickey, because it has everything to do with who I am now. And I just feel such a gratitude for all my teachers and for all the Sanghas that I've been part of. So, and once he found out I sang and played piano, there was a piano in the temple. So that was really special to get to. That's when I started realizing, oh, I love singing in this way, in this sacred way, that makes us all cry and makes us all feel and makes us all melt. I remember he loved Bridge Over Troubled Water. He always wanted me to sing that song. So Mickey doesn't travel, or I would ask him to come speak for us. But we do have Gangaji coming next Sunday. So all these years later, I really feel this blessing of all the different sanghas I've been part of, and I feel like I've, touring for 25 years, all the Unity and New Thought churches, I've really connected, and Yogananda retreats, and then Amma's Sangha, the people around her, and also Gangaji's Sangha, the people around her. I just feel like I'm connected to all these circles of Sangha. But I feel so happy to be co-creating this Sangha with you here. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, in society, much of our suffering comes from feeling disconnected from one another. And being with a Sangha can heal these feelings of isolation and separation. We practice together. We practice together. Just by participating with other practitioners in the daily activities, we can experience a tangible feeling of love and acceptance. And I hope you all feel that here. Life needs compassion. To live this life, we need compassion. We need understanding. We need harmony just to be here, just to make, for life to be livable. And that is why the Sangha in Buddhism is called the gem. But it's in every religion. Jesus said it so beautifully, for where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Gathered in the name of love, gathered to know the I am, our true nature. So I've been feeling a lot of joy watching all the connections that have been happening here. I see you. And it's precious, just to see the community foster connections. Thich Nhat Hanh would always say that he learned from his students, that his students were his teachers as well. And I feel that our congregation are my teachers too. The light in you inspires me, and all the ways that you find to express light inspire me. One example, there's so many, I could spend the whole time, but Eddie, I remember when Eddie showed up and he first, came up and said, would you mind if I brought some really delicious baked goods? I'm a baker from Market of Choice, and I would love to bring that for our community to have something delicious to eat together so we could visit. And I'm like, yes, you are a godsend. You are a goddess send. And then he graduated to being, the head of our hospitality, and then he joined the board. And at the board meeting, was that just the last month or the month before, he said for the Christmas caroling, he had this great idea. Let's ask all the bakers here to bake their best thing, and we'll bring all the baked goods, and we'll create these plates for everybody to be a fundraiser. And he did, and you did that so beautifully. And then I remember he sent one to Peg. He insisted on sending Peg one of those plates because Peg is one of our founding board members. She is on there doing the Zoom tech every Sunday. She's such a gift. So yes, another hand for Peg. Yeah. So, it's a joy to see everyone serve one another and practice together as a community. So Sangha is not only a means to receive support, but it's an opportunity to support others. And when we say that prayer of St. Francis, it is in giving we receive. That's such a deep teaching, because it's as it's flowing through us, it flows to us, right? It flows to us first. So it is a gift to serve. It's such a gift to serve. We're the first ones that are blessed, right? Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, alone we are vulnerable, but with brothers and sisters to work with, we can support each other. We cannot go to the ocean as a drop of water. We would evaporate before reaching our destination. But if we become a river, if we go as a Sangha, we are sure to arrive at the ocean. I love that. My spiritual teacher, Amma, would always talk about the importance of keeping the highest company you can, because it'll rub off on you. And better yet, you'll merge with that consciousness. she would always say it's like going into an incense factory. I think I've said this before. But you go into an incense factory and you don't really have to do much. You just go in there and you're just there. And then you leave and you have this wonderful fragrance, right? You and so she said in the same way, if we spend time with good company, with the company of those who value spiritual life and spiritual growth, that we will grow that fragrance of divine love. I just love that. I used to go to India once a month. I've told you stories of India, but I always come back feeling so changed. And even those 3 days I got to spend with Amma this summer. But in India, you know, you just practice from 4:30 in the morning until the time you drop into bed at about 10 at night. And, you know, all those practices in Sangha, doing them together, something so powerful and life-changing about that. Amma would always say, just going to India is going to eradicate a lot of karma for you. Because it's not a luxury vacation, not at her ashram anyway. But it's powerful, and I always felt like, especially time with her. You know, I remember this one time, I saw her leaving her apartment to go to the ocean. The ashram's right by the ocean. And I snuck along, and there was about 10 of us and Amma, and we all sat on the beach in the moonlight, and she started singing to God, goddess, and we all just went into ecstasy, and tears were streaming down my face, and then I don't even know what happened. It was an hour later, and we were all getting up, and I was just in an altered state, and I realized, wow, that trip, that was such an incredible blessing. That made that whole trip and any trip worth it. So, you know, being in good company. There's a teaching from the Buddha that's so similar, where he's talking to Ananda about good company, and it's from the passage, the Pali Upada Sutra, and in this passage the Buddha is called the Blessed One. So Venerable Ananda went to the Blessed One, and on arrival, having bowed down to the Blessed One, he sat to one side, and as he was sitting there, he said to the Blessed One, "This is half the holy life, Lord. Admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie." And the Buddha said, don't say that, Ananda, don't say that. Admirable friendship, admirable companionship, and admirable camaraderie is actually the whole of holy life. When a monk has admirable people as friends, companions, and comrades, he can be expected to develop and pursue the noble eightfold path. The noble eightfold path, which is the noble path, spiritual path. That's a body of teachings on the Dharma, how we live awake in the world. I've shared with some of you that, you know, living at Brighton Bush was a life-changing experience for me. My partner at the time had this crazy idea that we'd move to Brighton Bush and we would just serve selflessly. We wouldn't receive payment, because we both loved the Bhagavad Gita, and there was a teaching in there about selfless service being the fastest path to realize God. So we decided, let's just go do this. So we moved there, and it was powerful, that Sangha. It was intentional community, kind of. I see Devorah smiling. It was loosely intentional community, but we started something called the Well-Being Program, where there was, you know, meditation at 7:30, and then we did circle chanting and singing, and then he taught edu, and then I taught yoga, and then we had storytelling, and every weekend I did sacred music concerts. And so little did we know, we were setting ourselves up for, well, I had the awakening that really changed my life there about a year later. But the community living was really powerful, because we'd come together and we'd talk things out, and we worked as a cooperative. So that was just another incredibly life-changing Sangha. And also, Thich Nhat Hanh talks about how everything can contribute to the Sangha. The old-growth trees at Brighton Bush were certainly part of the inspiration that was so powerful for awakening. The hot springs, soaking in that water that came up from deep in the Mother Earth, there was just something about that just was so purifying and opening. So nature is also part of the Sangha, can be part of the Sangha. I remember, Amazawa, you were at Brighton Bush, right? You came to a workshop there. And I think, Charlene, you were at a workshop at Brighton Bush when I found out Paradise was on fire. Is that right? Were you at that one? I think she was. I know that there was a group of folks that I was in retreat with when I found that out. And that was a powerful support for me, having them as a Sangha. Well, I didn't know if I had a house, and I was worried about, are my friends alive, and is my home there? And yet we did practice. We did practice, and it was the perfect thing to do. It was the perfect thing to do. So, yeah, so I just like to share some stories with you about the Sanghas, the important Sanghas in my life, because I know you have important Sanghas in your life that I would love to hear about. Maybe it's a Unity Church, or, we have many Sanghas often that we have connected with over time. I do feel like, to be fair, that we have to also include in this story that of life experiences, that sometimes we join a Sangha that doesn't feel right. And it's just not our cup of tea sometimes, which is okay, and we end up leaving it. Sometimes, though, in the extreme, it didn't feel an integrity, and there is that. There were ethical violations sometimes, or concerns, and so in that case, I would say it's not a true Sangha, because it's not a refuge. Sangha is a place of refuge, or maybe it was, and then it became not a place of refuge. But we need that refuge and that safety, a place we can trust, so that we can open, so we can heal, so we can blossom. And it does pain me to hear of communities where there's a lack of ethics and integrity, because it makes people cynical about their spiritual path, and that's really sad. So we use discernment. We have to use discernment and check it out and make sure that there's an adherence to Dharma, an adherence to integrity, to ethical living. I know when I got my seminary degree, I had to sign like a 10-page thing, agreement on ethical behavior, and I think every spiritual teacher should need to at least review that list. I think that's so important. So. So I'm going to teach, I'm going to give another world religion series, because we are, an interfaith center, and there are so many valuable teachings in each tradition. And I love, just finding another Dharma teaching. On the 26th of this month, I'm going to speak on the 5 mindfulness trainings from Buddhism. So I'm going to start with Buddhism. But I really see spirituality, and this talk is for a lot of you that are coming to the new member orientation today. You can probably tell, because I'm saying it all here, because I think it's valuable for everybody to learn more about what Sangha really is. I see spirituality as twofold. It's kind of like two arms. On the one hand, it's about the ethical teachings. It's that horizontal, how do we live in this world? How do we do no harm? How do we put love into action? And then on the other hand, it's the mystical teachings. It's the let me rest in the I am and merge in the absolute. And I like to mix it up. You'll receive, more ethical teachings, real practical teachings one Sunday. And the next Sunday, it's Gangaji, her non-dual teachings, excuse me, are so powerful. She just helps point and just drop you right in to wakeful awareness of the self. So I'd like to just take a moment and do a self-reflective practice with you. I like to weave in, some of the things I like to do in workshops and retreats. But I just want to ask a question that I think is important to ask a Sangha, and we're gonna talk more about this in the orientation. But would you take a moment and consider, what are the conditions for your happiness and joy? What are the conditions for our happiness and joy as community, and more specifically, what are the conditions for your happiness and joy? If you could just call out a word or a phrase. Kindness, yes. Connection, awareness, silence, yes. Joy. Love shared. Yes. Y- Presence. Where'd that come from? Yes. Zavada. Presence. Tenderness. What a good word. Yes. Trust. Respect. Yes. Respect. Good. Gratitude. Friends. Yes. Truth. Humor. Gotta have humor. Chocolate. Okay, what do you get if you combine a dyslexic and a insomniac? Somebody who stays up all night contemplating, is there really a dog? Okay, I know I got off track there, but you said humor. You said humor. I was thinking we need a joke. We need a joke. Humor is so important. Those are beautiful answers. Thank you. I really love hearing that. And I hope, did you type some in the chat there online? Oh. Acceptance, trust, love. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I love reading what you write later. I always watch the video. I have another question that I want you to contemplate. What do I feed myself that waters my unwholesome seeds? It's a little more vulnerable. Yeah, what do I feed myself that waters my unwholesome seeds? The thought I'm not good enough. Chocolate. Good and bad. Judgment. Yes, that's one I thought of. Judgment. What was that? Distraction. Distraction. That's a good one. Consumerism. That's a good one. What else? I love how honest you are. Anything else? Prissiness? Busyness. And prissiness. Technology, TV, and media, and too much junk food for the mind, right? Good. I appreciate your answers. Okay, another question. This could just be a simple yes, no, or sometimes. Do I listen deeply to myself? Sometimes. Usually. Nice. Do I listen deeply to others? Usually. Sometimes need to more. Yeah, those are just really good questions to ask because they really facilitate self-reflection and change and growing as a Sangha. So yeah, I just invite you to think about these questions more, and especially if you're coming to the orientation today. We're going to start it at 12:45. But, you know, we're co-creating the Sangha. We're co-creating it, and so your voice and your presence are integral. So it's a great joy to co-create this with you, and I do think it's important that we speak this mission and vision statement every Sunday. We thought long and hard in creating what our intention is, and I think it's important to repeat your intentions and keep in touch with your heart's deepest intention and our community intention, right? Because we are an intentional community here, you know, and we honor all paths to God that are based on love and truth. And we share spiritual practice, and we do our best to live ethically and embody loving kindness and be the light on the hill, and be the light on the hill. And I just feel like we are bringing light, and we are shining brighter into this world that so needs our light. So may the Mother, Father, God, source of all that is, bless you with amazing grace, with divine grace. And may it bless us all together as a community, that we thrive and that we grow, and that our light and our gifts and our blessing expand out. And may we live as one. May we truly, truly learn to live as one. Right. Yes, as a Sangha. In fact, that was in my newsletter about a month ago. That was a quote in my newsletter. I love that quote. Yeah, that the next Buddha is community, is not just one Jesus and one Krishna or one Buddha. The next Buddha is community. And so let that be this community. Let us be one of those communities. All right. Thank you so much. Namaste.